So I want to talk about choosing a topic. Um, it's really the most important thing you'll do this semester, uh, or it's the key to a successful semester. Let me put it like that. And World War II, there's, I don't know, I can't even imagine how many topics there are. There are tens of thousands. And it runs the gamut, topic choice, into something that's kind of very interesting but maybe obscure where there's not a lot of information, to something that's interesting and it's very well known. Let's say like the invasion of Europe, the on D-Day of June 6th, 1944. So you can run the gamut from obscure to very well known, and both have challenges, uh, and both have opportunities. The the thing about maybe more obscure topics, and when I'm being obscure, I'm not being critical at all. I think you can have a fantastic topic that's not that well known. But the issue might be there just might not, if it's something's kind of obscure, there might not be that much information about it, either primary or secondary. Maybe nobody's written about it. So that would be, let's say you wanted to do a paper on the African American experience in Waco, Texas during World War II. Well, I actually think that's a really, really interesting topic. But the problem is that I don't think there were any black newspapers in Waco. Um, I don't think there'd be very many memoirs of African Americans who lived in Waco at the time. I don't think there's been any secondary, and historians really haven't written about Waco during World War II. So that's a super interesting topic that's probably just impossible to do because it is obscure. And again, when I'm saying it's obscure, I'm not saying it's not important. It can be very important, but it just may not be doable. This is a big thing for me that students write papers or choose topics that are doable. So, so the African American experience in Waco during World War II may be just too narrow. There's just not enough evidence about it. Now, on the other hand, there are students that want to write about the Holocaust, which of course is an extremely important topic. It's obviously horrifying, but it has to be understood. We have to grapple with what happened. But of course, with the Holocaust, it's just the opposite issue. There's millions and millions of pages of documentation on the Holocaust, primary evidence, memoirs, uh, thousands of secondary sources on the memoirs, thousands of journal articles, secondary sources on the Holocaust, thousands of journal articles on the Holocaust. So it's the opposite issue with a subject like the Holocaust. And what anybody that wants to do a topic on the Holocaust, they're going to have to narrow it down, and they're going to have to choose one element of the Holocaust. Let's say someone who ran a concentration camp, or the decision to build the concentration camps. Um, how about the liberation of the concentration camps by Allied troops in 1945? So that is just at the other end of the spectrum of the African American experience in Waco in terms of being a historical topic. It's just too broad. And if you're doing something like that, you have to figure out how to narrow it. You have to choose an element from a broad topic that you can write about. Now, what you see on the screen here, I've chosen a topic that's kind of maybe a little bit of more obscure than well known. It's a man, a general by the name of Lucian Truscott, who was a commander in the Italian campaign, very effective, also in France as well in 1944 and 1945. He wasn't involved in D-Day. He was involved in another part of France, another invasion of southern France. And I'm going to show you how you, if you were to choose something that's kind of semi-obscure, how you might go about doing that. Now, one of the things about Truscott is he had all his he named his child Lucian Truscott. There's a Lucian Truscott the fourth. So you just have to make sure you're looking at the right Lucian Truscott. So be aware of those kind of details as you start research. Now, what I've done is, and what I've told students to do, is that I think it's really smart to use Google when you're researching something that there's not a lot of information on. And what Google can do is it can let you know kind of what the lay of the land is on a historical topic. I also think Wikipedia works fine at this stage. I would never want you to quote Wikipedia in your paper. So I put in Lucian Truscott in Google, and Wikipedia came up. And so I'm clicking on that, and you see Lucian Truscott. One of the things I like about him, he was born in Texas. But let's go back to the bottom. Let's go to the bottom of Wikipedia page, and what you'll see is that Wikipedia, I think, is very, very good, and that it has a citation section at the end of each of its entries. And that citation section, I think, is super, super useful. So let's do Lucian Truscott. Okay, well, the first thing that comes up under citation is a book called Dog-Faced Soldier. And Dog-Face is meant as a compliment. Uh, Truscott was seen as a soldier. And so that's a biography of Lucian Truscott. So if you wanted to do that subject, you're going to have to get a hold of that biography. So what's the next thing you do? Well, here's the next thing I would do. I would pay. I would copy, or I guess I can't copy it. I just can remember the title, Dog-Faced Soldier. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the UTSA Library Quick Search. And I'm going to put in the title Dog-Faced Soldier. And I'm going to see if we have that book. And lo and behold, not only do we have that book, it's online. And that's really fantastic, because what that means is that you can just um, you can look at that book from your house or wherever you are. And so what you have is, so there's not, let's go back to Wikipedia for a second. There's not a ton of biographies on Truscott. In fact, I only see one. So that's kind of a problem. He's mentioned in a book called An Army at Dawn by Rick Atkinson. So that's important. We have another one actually at the bottom, The Last Cavalrymen. So what you can do, the Command of Honor, the Other Side of Time, and what you can do is you can look at Wikipedia, see the sources on someone like Truscott, and then you go to our library and see if we have those sources. Okay. So for anyone that's starting and they're not 100% sure about their topic, I always think it's really smart just to Google the topic, see if you can find specific data points on your topic. Are there individuals that you can then go search up? Are there events? Did something happen on a specific date? That kind of a thing. So I always think it's a good strategy when you're trying to come up with a topic, just to Google basically what your topic, and you can play around with different kind of Google entries, and then start collecting information on the topic and write that information down. And again, what you're looking for are specific data points like names, organizations, dates, events, things that then you can use our very, very powerful research tools for. So what I'm saying is that you can have your cake and eat it too. Um, that you can use just basic Google to look up topics, and then you can go into our powerful search engines and then study those topics in more detail. Now I'm going to stop this and I'm going to come up with I'll record another podcast in just a second.